Andy Edwards. Never heard of him.
Open up your eyes, look around, hear the sound, shake your weary head, you're alive. Take a look in your mind.
Your son's facing some pretty serious charges and you seem to be back in business now. In a new place where people don't know you. We'd like to...
Don't you dare testicle in my business. Don't you dare.
Don't wanna die, don't wanna do, don't wanna try. You're wasting my time, wasting my time. Don't wanna stop, don't wanna go, don't wanna see, don't wanna know. It's a matter of time, matter of time.
I'm not a violent man, but I think I am a man who seems to find fault in virtually everything and everybody. And in real life, that is a little bit of a handicap, I suppose. But, you know, on YouTube land, it's a blessing. And so, with this video, I return to a well-worn format where I pour scorn and hate on people. And on this video, in this introduction, I am where I describe what my intentions are with this video. My intentions is to go through the 10 most punchable rock or pop stars in human history, ranked by myself. Now, as I said, I'm not a violent person. The last time I actually punched anybody in the face was... well, it would be 43 years ago when I punched my friend Doug in the face at school because he'd been pretending to box, you know, he's pretending to box me like this in front of people to get a laugh, and he hit me in the face by accident, so I just lapped him. Really, not because of the punch, but more for the fact that he was showing off. I never like a show off, you see. Don't like a show off. Histrionic activities from certain, you know, narcissistic types gets on my nerves, and there's plenty of that here. So I don't condone violence in any shape or form. And although the original title of this video was 10 musicians I'd like to punch in the face, and was suggested by myself in an earlier video, if you were into the conceptual continuity that occurs on this channel, you'll be able to go back and find that. But on this video today, I am going to be looking at the 10 most punchable rock stars in human history. Let's start with number 1, shall we?
Just thinking like I kind of like that, you know. I like them because they were kind of a bit dirty.
So here we have him. Now I don't know whether this is the top of the list, number 1 or number 10. I don't know. I think we always start with a top 10 on something that really fulfills the remit of what we're talking about, you know. Some people you'd like to punch because they've done bad things, but other people just look punchable, don't they? Do you know what I'm saying? Not that you would do such a thing. It would be terrible to punch this fellow, Mick Hucknall. But I think for most people, his little ginger, arrogant face is more than enough motivation to want to roll up that fist and drive it into his soft, pallid, tanless features. So, how can Andy? You can't have this aggression towards somebody you don't know, can you? Well, I can. And elsewhere, you know, on this channel, I know my friend Brummy Dave has also voiced his derision of this character. But how can I, you know, when I start these, you know, when I do these videos, you know, start off on these rants that everybody seems to like, but I myself can see as being, you know, less than positive in terms of the, you know, the good of the world. I have to start with this quote from Mick, which I've actually got here right now. So we're going to do the quote now. So I just need to put this on to do the quote. Here we go. So this is a quote from... Sorry, I spoke and you would have got confused there. That wasn't Mick talking. That was me talking then when I said this quote. So because I'm not a great mimic, this will denote when I am, this will denote when I am sort of being Mick Hucknall. Can you stop that, Mick? It's a reference to another joke. I do apologise. Where you going, Mick? Come back. Oh, there's nothing as funny as a ginger wig, is there? There is nothing as funny as that, as a prop. Every YouTuber should have one. All those YouTubers out there, Rick Beato and all those lots, Barry Spender. Have you got in your vast array of equipment that you've got a ginger wig? I've used this for so many purposes. And now I'm about to use it in providing you with one of Mick Hucknall's numerous annoying quotes. Ready for this? I'm one of the best singer-songwriters this country has ever produced. If people don't like me saying that, tough shit. You can't sell 50 million albums without something. Well, that was one of his quotes, and he said that quite early on. I think it after the Stars album had come out, and that I instantly took a dislike to him. I thought, right. If he said one of the best songwriters, fair enough, but he's put one of the best singer-songwriters. Now, elsewhere, he has said he's one of the great singers of his age as well. He's not a bad singer if you're into sort of, vibrato-less, nasally whining in a sort of vaguely northern version of American soul music type of fashion, Something's got me started. Ooh, something's got me started. Since I have been fighting. Ooh, something's got me started. I ain't far off him, am I, really? And it goes to show, it can't be that hard. I mean, I can't put a wig on and sound like Chris Cornell or bloody James Brown, can I? That's much harder. So this claim that he's a great singer, I mean, no. But the idea that he's one of the best singer-songwriters this country has produced, right? If people don't like me saying that, tough shit, you can't sell 50 million albums without something. This is true. I've got Google here, but let's put artists who have sold 50 million records or more. Let's just see what AI has to say when we do this, shall we? All right, so we got a whole bunch of loads here. Elton John sold 300 million, Queen sold 300 million, Madonna 300 million, Zeppelin 2 to 300 million, AC/DC, Pink Floyd, Rihanna, Celine Dion, Eminem, Billy Joel, Frank Sinatra, Rod Stewart, Taylor Swift, Whitney Houston. All of these are in the 50 million plus. I'll just get a few more here. More, please. So, it's like he's putting himself into the same bracket, really, as artists like Garth Brooks, Justin Bieber. And we're talking about singer-songwriters here. This is the proof that Mick is one of the greatest British singer-songwriters, right? He's putting himself in the same bracket as, I don't know, an Elton John or a Paul McCartney or a Kate Bush. That level of Joan Armatrading, all those incredible British songwriters he's in there with Andy Partridge, XTC and all that lot going on. There's a whole host of it, And, he's saying that the proof's in the 50 million, but really he doesn't prove anything. He's just putting himself into the same bracket as a Katy Perry or, a Bruno Mars, or say, I don't know, Britney Spears. All of the Post Malone, they've all outsold older, the ginger northern songstress, Avril Lavigne, they've all sold, more than Mick, So that I find this very arrogant. But arrogant doesn't motivate the proffering of a fist. I have got something else on Mick here. Right. The Simply Red singer, Mick Hucknall, also fancies himself as a Lothario. Ugly and ginger as he is, right, he has been able to utilise his position in the music world. Like many ugly little ginger fellas, I think that Dave Stewart from whatever they were, with what's the name? Dave, not the prog Dave Stewart who watches this channel. Not you, Dave. You're fine. I'm not saying you're a Lothario. I'm on about the other Lothario. Ugly little man, utilising his position to go out with women far above his station. As had Ed Sheeran, I think he's done the same sort of thing, and mixing the same version of that. And these ugly little blokes have to tell you that they've bedded lots of women. And so Mick can't just come out and say that. He had to say that he'd... Right. He had to say that I've simply bedded... No, he didn't say this. I would like to apologise to the estimated 3,000 women that I think that I've bedded. The only reason why I did it is because I wanted love from every woman. Because I didn't have a mother's love, and I never got the emotional contact I craved. Oh, poor old Mick Hucknall's having to bed 3,000 women because he never got the love of his mother. Oh, shut your face! Oh, you see now there. Once we combine those two quotes together, we're in. We're in, aren't we? We're in. You see what I'm saying? We're in. And there we have it, Mick Hucknall, number 1 on the list. I won't labour it anymore, but let's carry on to number 2, shall we? At number 2, I've got Donald Fagen.
Okay,
no, you're not.
No.
Everyone knows that I've always had a love-hate relationship with Steely Dan. I ain't say they're a bad band. I know, I've got friends who love them. They all love them, don't they? That sort of tight, anal, retentive, Fuzaki jazz fusion version of rock music with some snidey lyrics about how they want to have sex with their, cousin or something like that over the top. That sort of snidey, we're like bloody in the know. I've given the game away straight away, haven't I? Yes, they might have some tight, little bloody good interactions from Steve Gadd, and great guitar solos from Jay Gray. I can't even get my words out on this. There's something that annoys me about Steely Dan. Come on. And we haven't ventured into it, have we, really? Now, Walter Becker, he just seems like he's like bloody... He was like a little chubby, round-faced girl of a man, wasn't he, really, I mean, he always had to have that vague moustache that he could only just push out with the testosterone that he had. Just push out that moustache so he wouldn't get mistaken for some little nymphette. And, of course, he probably had to wear that moustache because if he did look like some little nymphette, we know that Donald Fagen would have been in there like a rat up at the drain pipe because he just has the aspect of seediness. But it's not just seediness with Donald Fagen. It's a sort of... snotty, down-the-nose looking seediness. All right, where he sits there with a face that has formed into a natural truculent flounce. And we're supposed to, because he knows a few polychords, you know what I'm saying? Because he can diatonically move an F over with a G in the bass, and he can diatonically move that around. We're supposed to go, ooh, Mr. Fagen is so bloody good. Now, musically, what they do, most sort of middle-of-the-road, mediocre jazz rock fusion from the late 70s, when you've got some talented musicians who didn't have the creative vision of a John McLaughlin or a Chick Corea, decided to just try and chase sort of commercial crossover success, with these limpid, tunes over a inconsequential disco beat that could sit in the background while snotty middle-class types eat their dinner and go, have you ever heard the latest Larry Carlton album? Now, like, Larry Carlton's a great guitarist. Yes, they're all great, right? But I like a bit of fire. But, you know, if you imagine getting that sound and all grabbing it up, and you form it into this sort of Steely Dan sound, let us say, then that allows musicians who would be embarrassed to go, oh, I've really been getting up on that Dave Grusin album I got at the weekend. It's really amazing, you know. Or that Dave Valentine album. Or, have you heard the latest thing from Foreplay? You know, Foreplay, bloody hell. Let's form a band. Like, we'll use our jazz chops, but we'll utilise our jazz chops in a way where, you know, it will be very accessible to the man in the street. What's man in the street would this be? Well, probably a middle-class man with a reasonable job that likes to come home and have dinner parties with his friends. That sort of album, we could put that on. What shall we call this band? How about Foreplay? What you have to do, you know, to a lady to get them in the mood for your little bit of, you know, the old procreative activities. You got about that? No, it would be a joke because there'll be four of us. It'll be foreplay. F-O-U-R, foreplay. The whole thing is there is nothing. Oh God! And Steely Dan's that for me. But the thing is what you don't understand is that there's a sort of beatnik approach to their lyricism. I mean, yes, if you just focus on the music, it does sound like a lot of, you know, sort of expensive jingles going on, right? But if you have to listen, Fagan's voice is so irascible and worldly and knowing, you know, as he sits there barking out a view of someone tired of this sort of drink, drugs and women in late 70s sort of Los Angeles, where hedonism has replaced the idea of a view of a utopian future, which these fellows grew up in the 1950s. You know, they are like the Kerouacs writ large. No, Jack Kerouac wouldn't bloody create a tune like Steely Dan. Bloody hell, what's wrong with you? Right, this is a Steely Dan bash. This is where the Steely Dan bash exists, right? Let me spell it out to you here, right? If you're interested in stuff that might get played on the radio because it's got vocals on, but has really interesting musical stuff going on, right? Go and listen to a Gino Vanelli album. Right? Because Gino Vanelli is the real deal. Go and listen to forget Asia. Yeah, Gad does a good drum solo on that. Yeah, he does. Right. He also does an amazing drum solo on The Wizard by Al Di Meola, but nobody's talking about that because that double standard here somewhere in the world of jazz rock fusion. You know, amongst the older members of the jazz rock fusion fraternity, championing certain music, as they should. And obviously, I'd rather have Steely Dan than Post Malone or Drake. But go and listen to Brother to Brother. Where's all the videos about that? Go listen to Mark Craney's drum solo on that. Go and listen to what's musically is going on with that. But you won't, will you? You know why? Because Gino Vanelli is a proper man. He's like the Tom Jones of jazz rock fusion. A huge chest as wide as two men's chests, full of lovely, incredible hair, a beautiful Italianate face, a voice that can handle probably 15 octaves, you know, that is rich and sonorous in all of those octaves. And then hair like you wouldn't believe, hair that would bloody upset the flights of aeroplanes. Gino Vanelli, the proper purveyor of jazz rock fusion pop music that sells millions of records. And we need to kick the Dan out, and the only way to get rid of that little truculent face is with a good bloody Jack Johnson round the chops. Right, who's next on the list? The next one I've got on the list is Perry Farrell. This is all based upon one event which you might remember. Do you remember this event a few years back? What a little... he's there on stage and he's having a little bit of a tantrum, is he? You know, all 4 stone of him, if he was dripping wet, as we would say here in the United Kingdom. This little drug-addled, skinny bloke, you know, that a few elbows to, and you'd really be getting him in sort of broken bone syndrome. You know, that it's there he is, standing up to Dave Navarro, another bloke I can't stick, you know, who was really handsome a few years ago, but he can't let go of it. So here he is, you know, shirt off still, you know, playing his bloody rock riffs where Perry Farrell's up, you know. This is the trouble with being edgy. This is the trouble with... And they size up to each other on stage. Nothing bloody happens. The crew come out, oh, pull Perry away before he does some damage. What? Like, you know, disturbs bloody Dave Navarro's bloody eyeliner with a soft slap from his little limpid heroin-filled wrist. Oh, God. Perry Farrell, right? Now... Jane's Addiction are a band that I feel I should talk about on here. And I like them. I like Stephen Perkins' drumming. They did some good stuff. But the truth is, if you go and buy one of those albums and listen to it, all right, you'll get fed up. It's okay. It's a little bit samey to me. Why? Because I don't think they quite had the instrumental... deafness of a Fishbone or even a Red Hot Chili Peppers, dare I say. But they were really cool and edgy. Edginess, I find that annoying, especially when they get a bit older. If an edgy person, when they're old, becomes more cute and cuddly, like Nick Cave. Now, I've had a go at Nick Cave on this channel, right? When he was young and all walking around, you know, with that stupid, like, what was his name? Off Buck Rogers, Tweaky. He's got that tweaky black hair, hasn't he? He's got... face like that, big dome forehead. You know, but I have to be honest, when he did that collaboration with Kylie, Kylie came in like a little angel, didn't she? A little beautiful sunny angel, and melted Nick Cave's heart in a way. It was melted by her, and now he seems to be I quite like him. I feel like, you know, his idea of a day out would be, you know, maybe some cakes and a ride on a steam train to go and see, I don't know, an old cottage that, say, D.H. Lawrence used to write his letters in, you know, in the old days. That like a proper Englishman's day out. I feel that Nick Cave has become, in a strange way, because he's not English, but he has adopted the ways of the Englishman. And so I have no problem. There's no fist being proffered towards Nick Cave, although he, you know, all that bloody, that old bloody Ian Curtis bloody, oh God, I hate it all. I had a conversation the other day with somebody who's an incredible musician, you know, really unbelievable. And I was talking about my hate, and I said, I don't really hate any of these people, right? It's the fact that they're elevated. Certain people are pushed down and certain people are elevated. Nick Cave's one of those, right? Perry Farrell is much closer to somebody I would actually listen to. I have Jane's Addiction's albums and I don't have any Nick Cave albums, although recently I've been wanting to get a few because I'm warming to him as a person. It is the truth. But Perry Farrell, you see, that's the example of somebody who I do like their music, but he himself gets on my nerves. And how does he get on my nerves? Because he is just punchable. Because if he ever came on to me like that, all going, oh, I'm going to come and get you, come on then, Andy, oh, where's me roadies, back me up, I'm going to punch you in a minute, you know, he would just bang. Not that on this video I condone violence any shape or bloody form, you know. Shame you can't condone violence anymore. Remember the old days when you could condone violence, you know. Right, so at number 7, I've got Liam Gallagher.
Come on then. Pull your fucking cameras away now, fucking leather, you knobhead. You don't need I'll leather, you knobhead. You just had a baby. No, so you look like a dickhead. Right, look. Taking pictures of me, man. You look like a dickhead.
Day 2, off me fucking coconut.
From the band Oasis, one half of the Gallagher brothers. Right, now, I have to be honest, Liam doesn't get on my nerves. He actually doesn't get my nerves. And when I watch him being interviewed, I actually quite like him. I warm to him, right? And he sits there. I mean, he's got a potty mouth and he says what he wants, doesn't he? And he does say things that are quite funny, as does do his brother. But this idea that he's walking around being the big man, right? And he probably is. Now, I'm pretty sure if I had to have a fight with Perry Farrell, like, I think I would win that, you know, unless he's got some sort of street sort of techniques I'm not aware of, you know, that he's picked up from various drug dealers, you know, in his time. I don't know. Whereas Liam, you feel Liam, as I call him, Liam, it's all northern bluster. We all know those types of blokes, you know. And you know that anybody in Manchester that formed a band with the likes of Noel and Liam, and then that bloody, you know, the ugly one, what's he called? Well, all of them really, right? Those weren't the hardest blokes in Manchester at the time. They just weren't. I can tell you this now. I know what sort of working class British people are like, and the Oasis lot, they come from a bracket of working class men, which is a bit down the thing here. You know, they're a bit down here. Right? They're not the ones going around having the fights. And they know this. And Liam, once he gets his money, he tries to he tries to make out he is that, you know. And I think that when you read these stories of him having his fights with his brother and trying to kill him with a guitar backstage and breaking up Oasis, you do feel that in the sort of yes man environment that the Oasis had created around them at that time, there's someone just coming in and giving him a good punch in the face. Although I like the fella, a couple of those may have kept Oasis in line a little bit. You know, and then what would have happened? Oasis would have stayed together, which is about as important as, you know, me getting my old band Sinister Footwear back together. The world's not waiting for that, are they? But they were waiting for Oasis. They came out, did that tour, didn't they? Made a load of money. All right, Liam Gallagher, I'm sure he's very nice in real life. I'm sure he puts it on as a sort of PR bluster. But I think, you know, anybody who goes around threatening people and saying they are going to put one on person, they just need someone at that point to stand up and really give them a good sock, like, you know, a sort of a good John Wayne. They need to come up against some character like that, John Wayne. Hey, Liam, what did you say then? You were going to do what? Well, I said I was going to just give him a lamping, and if we give him a punch. Lamping is not a northern phrase, it's a black country phrase, shouldn't use that. What about this, Liam? And then bang, a full John Wayne right on the jaw, down on the floor. You're not getting up from that. No. Unless you're bloody, was it Wallace Beery or whoever it was he fought in The Quiet Man? Who did he fight in The Quiet? Was it Wallace Beery? I've got to check this out now. I don't mind getting certain facts wrong, but that fight in The Quiet Man, bloody brilliant, isn't it? And you know, I do enjoy it. Victor McLaglen, not bloody Wallace Beery, you great big fool. Victor McLaglen, what a bloke he was, eh? Probably a mate of John Wayne, I would have thought. I've got my computer here so I can go. I don't normally do this, but I've had a little break from this channel, come back, and one of the new things now is just to have this. He was born in 1886, can you believe that? And died in 1959. So that was just after The Quiet Man, wasn't it? You know, he was born, he's a British man, born in Tunbridge Wells. His father was a missionary for the Free Protestant Church and was later a bishop of the Free Protestant Episcopal Church of England. Very interesting. You know, I think he grew up in South Africa. You know, and he was a self-proclaimed jiu-jitsu champion, old Victor McLaglen. See, these people are real people. That's why when you look at them and you see what he's done, you know, he's bloody fought in the... He tried to join up and bloody fight in the Boer War, you know, but he was too young. Okay? I bet Liam Gallagher never did that. Liam Gallagher never tried to join up too young to fight in the Boer War, did he? No. He became a boxer, and it's really bizarre, this is, because I've actually named him early on. There was a name check to this fellow. He actually did fight against Jack Johnson in 1909. That's the fellow that has the fight with John Wayne in The Quiet Man. And when he had that fight, it was like literally just a few months later, or year. When was The Quiet Man made? I thought it was 59 myself, but it's probably more like 57. Do you like this bit of Hollywood banter here? You know, I would love to talk about films much more on my channel, to be honest. I could always slip in, you know, a little bit of film stuff. The Quiet Man was 52. Yes, I've got it totally wrong. This is terrible. I'm really not showing off my film knowledge well here. I'm going to move on. Shall we move on to the next fellow on the Punchable list? At number 6, I've got from the jazz world, Charlie Mingus.
Well, I'm gonna shoot it. A gun.
Now, I've got a story to tell you about Charlie Mingus. Now, he shouldn't really be on the list. Now, I'm not saying when he was in his later, you know, not very well stage and he was in the wheelchair, there's no way I would have punched Charlie Mingus in the face when he was in that. But I would never punch anybody in a wheelchair, ever. Right? Just want that. I want to state that unequivocally on this channel. Right? And I just want to make that. But, you know, I don't want someone saying, oh, that bloody Andy Edwards. What he said the other day, he said he was going to punch a bloody someone in a wheelchair in the face. Who was it? Charlie Mingus. What? Charlie Mingus? He wants to punch Charlie Mingus in the face when he's sat in a wheelchair. That's disgusting. No, I don't want to do that. I don't really want to punch Charlie Mingus in the face whatsoever. Right? Except for one fact. When he had, who was the fellow with the band he has? Was it? I feel like, I don't look it up, Andy. You're supposed to be here with the knowledge in your head. That's what you do. You have the knowledge. I'm going to go for Jimmy Nepper. In the 1960s, Jimmy Nepper, who was a trumpet player, I believe, maybe a trombone player, there was something he did like. So what did he do? He went up and punched Jimmy Nepper in the face, thus ruining his embouchure for the rest of his life. And to take that away from a musician is absolutely disgusting. Now, would it be justified for somebody, not me, because I'm not a violent person, at that point to go, what the hell are you doing, Mingus? Grab his hand and give it a bit of a stamp, thus rendering his bass fingers not as efficient as they were before. Would that not be the case? And the fact that he was a very violent and angry man, that he would go around bloody letting guns off in his house, you know, willy-nilly, didn't care where the bullet left. He just was an arrogant, angry bloke, wasn't he, old Charlie Mingus? He seemed to be bitter of what, I don't know. He was a legendary jazz musician, one of the greats, and an incredible musician. And there's things about him I like very much. When I look at him, he doesn't seem punchable to me. I like Charlie Mingus. You have to understand that. So I've got to really tread carefully when it comes to punching Charlie Mingus in the face, right? Now, the reason I need to tread carefully is because Charlie Mingus has been cordoned off in the world as a person that has to be treated with special care. Special care is required. And as soon as I said, some people are watching this, someone said, oh, you know, I want to punch Liam Gallagher, they're laughing along, you know, Mick Hucknall, they're laughing along. As soon as I want to punch Charlie Mingus in the face, they don't like that. Oh, I don't. They may even feel I'm being a little bit racist in wanting to punch Charlie Mingus in the face, but I would like to draw your attention to the fact that when you get to the bottom of this list, you will see that the black members of our community are only really represented. So I would much rather be punching a white person in the face. If you want to get into that sort of race identity politics, this proves that I don't want to go around punching black people. No way, no, sir, no, I don't. So there is an idea. Now, I'm not just saying this on gut feeling. Many years ago, and this is what's really driven this, and you can go, oh, Andy, you've only put Mingus on to tell this story and sort of get your own back on something that happened 20 years ago that niggled you. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's got nothing to do with Charlie Mingus. Yeah, he did punch Jimmy Nepper, whoever it was, in the face, and he ruined his embouchure. That's pretty bad, and I don't like it. But putting that aside, I want to tell you this story because this is what I'm on about. Many years ago, I did a drum clinic, and it was filmed. And some of it got on the net. It got up on MySpace, in fact. And when I was doing that clinic, this little lad, who was probably about 11, said, Andy, have you got any tips of how to play jazz? And I went, yes, do you know a paradiddle diddle? And he went, yes, I do, Andy. I said, start the paradiddle diddle on the syncopated upbeat. I didn't say it like this, but I said, just put it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. To do that like that. Right, now put your right hand on the ride cymbal and you'll see that your right hand's forming a jazz swing ride pattern and your left hand's just feathering in a very sort of, jazzy way. Now, if you learn to swing with your jazz swing and then just bring this in and out, it starts to make you feel like you're doing a lot of clever stuff. And a drummer that I won't name, but he was a house drummer over at Ronnie Scott's back then, had to send me some sarcastic jazz snob. They always do. Some snobby, short, pithy comment of which was basically, what, you call that jazz? It was basically that, And I thought, what a bloody twat. Right? Who's this bloke? I don't know him. He can't message me and say, hello, Andy, how are you? I'm a fellow drummer, blah, blah, blah. Don't you think you're selling jazz a little bit short with your thing? And I'm going to be a maybe, but, I'd rather be bringing kids into the form of music than, than pushing them away and making out it's so hard to play that there's no way in and all that type of stuff. That would have been fine. But no, for him to come in and go, what, you call that jazz? And I thought, what a gatekeeping, arrogant twat. Right, and this bloke, when you looked at his profile, he was just one of them elitists. And the British jazz scene is bloody full of them. Right, and I've had a right run in over the last few days with some of them, with a certain member of the British jazz community who is a scummy little bloke, it has to be said. And he could kiss my arse. Right, he can really get down and do some butt kissing. He can. Butt kissing. That's what that bloke could do. I will return to this in the future because there's one thing disagreeing with someone's political opinion and having arguments online, but when people start to bring your mother into it and start to use underhand putting private messages out, this is what you get in the British jazz community. They are a bunch of cunts. Right, I'm sorry to use that term here on this channel. I will bleep it out because nobody wants to hear the word cunt on a channel like this, and some people will be upset by that, and I don't blame you for being upset by it. I'm upset that I said it myself, and I'm pretty sure I will have done something in the edit to make sure every time I've used the word cunt that word has been edited out of this, because it's a disgusting word. Right, but so is saying stuff about my mum's bloody heritage. I'm not happy with any of it. And this bloke was in the same bracket. So back then, filled with the same sort of anger that is channeling into this one, the real anger about real things, right? What a butt-kissing bastard this bloke is. Right, he is, butt-kissing. What kissing? What kissing, you say? No, arse kissing. What kissing? Arse kissing, that's what I'm saying. What kissing? What a scummy little twat. So, I put a blog up saying, kids, if you want to get into jazz, it's there for you to get into. Any way you want in, get into it. Whatever you think is jazz is, just find your way into it. The world needs young, fresh input into jazz because it's just filled up with a bunch of elitist, snobby, college-educated twats who think that running through bloody bebop licks over and over again makes them a jazz musician. No, bring your Eddie Van Halen in, bring your bloody blues guitar in. If you're into your Sonic Youth, bring it into the world of jazz. And then I said this comment. If some old bloke turns up with a Charlie Mingus album under their arm telling you what to do, tell them to get stuffed, although I didn't say get stuffed. I used language which is probably not as bad as the language I've just used on that, but I was angry back then, you see. So this got onto some snotty bloody American drum forum somewhere who had already invited me in only to try and belittle me. Oh, you can't swing, you're this, you're that, you're crap, we're better than you. Honestly, I could do a whole video where I go through the 10 times the jazz world acted like arrogant elitist twats to me. Right, I can do it. And what will happen when I do that is the whole world out there, musicians, will just chime in, going, you're bloody right, Andy. And in this forum, some git, probably connected to the drummer I'd had a go at, decided to go, he's dissing Charlie Mingus. And you know who got involved in this, right? Peter bloody Erskine. I love Peter Erskine, but he probably can't remember this at the time, but he came chiming in. Old Erskine. Anybody that uses the Mingus's name in such a scatological thing, because I'd said, that was it. That's what I said. I said, next time somebody comes up to you with a Charlie Mingus album up there under their arm and tells you what to do, take that album, stick it up their arse. Now, Erskine goes, anybody who uses Mingus's name in such a scatological fashion is just automatically in the wrong. Or something like that. And I've done that in a kind way, because obviously this could well get to Peter Erskine. I don't bloody care. He's an amazing drummer. I love his drumming. Right, I could do a whole video now on Peter Erskine. If he can't take my respect for him as a drummer, right, and he seems like a reasonable chap, but these types do have this bizarre need for jazz to be respected, right? Miles Davis didn't respect jazz, and I don't think Charlie Mingus respected jazz. And if I'd have tried to insert Charlie Mingus into Peter Erskine's bottom, a scatological image that I'm sure he doesn't like whatsoever, he would have been justified and correct in his ire towards me. But I wasn't. What I was wanted to insert into that jazz snob's rectum was their Charlie Mingus album, not Charlie Mingus themselves, right? And if somebody was trying to do a mind game on some young person, and that could be waylaid by them taking an album that I have been involved in, whether it be a Frost album or an IQ album, or the numerous albums I've played on, perhaps 100 albums, I think, over the years. And if somebody wanted to take one of my albums and insert it into some other snob's arse so that they don't go around, filling youth's mind up with, ideas of self-loathing, so be it. I will champion it there. And I would be there with a finger ready to push said album of my making into that pet area. You didn't expect this video to go like this, did you? I've had a week off and I'm back, right? And this channel's going to do two things. The serious stuff's going to get serious. The comedy stuff like this is going to get more comedic. But I am going to bloody be saying it. So, Mr. Erskine, I have great respect for you, right? I'm sure you don't remember anything about this, and I'm sure you were just commenting in a sort of flippant way. Why would somebody want to say that about Charlie Mingus? So to be fair, I do know that. I'm only saying this because he might come on the channel. He might contact me and say, Mr. Edwards, you're using my name on your video for comedy purposes. Oh, whatever. Maybe he's got a bloody sense of humour, right? Or maybe he hasn't. That's the bottom line. I've spoken to jazz legends, they've watched my channel, I've taken the mickey out of them, and they've laughed at themselves, right? There's two categories of jazz legends. The ones who like when I take the mickey out of them, and the ones who get all snotty. Now, Peter Erskine can't get snotty. He can't because of what I just said. Because then he will he will go into that sort of pompous bracket, the sort of person that goes around telling you how to go on the hi-hats. It can only be done one way. Bloody hell, I am in such a bloody hateful mood towards jazz on this one. How long have I spent on this bloody Mingus? I'm going to have to bloody put the other ones a bit. I've got that's halfway. The first five always are more interesting than the top five. They're so bloody obvious. Right, so number 5, maybe this bloke's a bit punchable. Yngwie Malmsteen.
Okay. Thank you. I love you guys. Mr. Lighting Guy, stop fucking around the lights and keep the lights on my guitar. Fucking play for the people. Por favor.
Right. That's fine. I mean, we know he's an arrogant twat. I know he goes around with saying a comment that I think is incredible. He said something like, who said less is more? Everybody knows more is more. And he's right. More actually is more. Right? No kid ever went to their mom and said, "You give me some ice cream here in the dish." And I was looking at my sisters, and she's got more ice cream. Can I have some more ice cream? And then the mum, but he put a spoon in and scooped half of it out and slung it in the bin. No kid went, "Thank you very much," because obviously less is more. Malmsteen's right in this regard. More is more. He is correct. More is more. I don't dislike him for all that. All his histrionic things he does, all that sort of pompous, bloody Swedish bravado that we have to put up with, great big sideboards, his great big brown face, the drawn-on eyebrows, the hair that looks like it comes from the 1980s, whereas he looks like a bloody 70-year-old bloke living in this period of time now, contemporary, all that mixed together. There he is, with his incredibly fast picking and all his sort of pseudo-neoclassical nonsense, which is full of passion, but musically is a load of pants, really, Let us be fair, and I like Malmsteen, So, no, it's not that. I can't not like him. I like him, I don't want to push him. I was going to try and utilise this here.
Fucking cunt come up to me and do that shit. See you, talk to you, bitch. Det här ska fan, det här, nu jävlar. You release the fucking fury. You release the fucking fury.
So that's a recording of him on a plane where he got upset about something because he thought he should be treated better. But I can't. I'm not. He shouldn't be on the list because if there was a twat on there and he was going to some air host, I can't call them air hostesses anymore, can you? Because it sounds like they're a prostitute in the sky, doesn't it? No. No, it's not like a normal bloke talking to some sky prostitute on a plane, going, "Who do you think you are, missus, you big sky prostitute? Now, F off out of here. I don't want to be bothered by you." That would just be arrogant, and you want to punch him in the face. But no, when Malmsteen gets annoyed, what he said, he's like, "Beware. Beware. You have unleashed the fury."
You release the fucking fury.
Not a fury, not just one of many furies. It's the fury. Who's got the fury at the moment? I think Yngwie Malmsteen owns it. Have you got the fury, Yngwie? Yes, I have. I have the fury. I want to use it on the aeroplane at the sky prostitute. That sounded like something more like Arnold Schwarzenegger, didn't it? Shall we move on from Malmsteen? He's done. Number 4, Ginger Baker.
Yeah? Your back is bothering you? Here. Oh, shit, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Right. Ginger Baker in the 70s, the 80s, he wasn't a twat at all. Watch the interviews. He's a lovely, polite English gentleman. Underneath that is a psychopath that just wants to have sex with anything and inject heroin whilst, riding around the back of a horse playing African drums with Fela Kuti. That's what he was back then. We know that. But when you listen to him spoken to, he's quite polite and reasonable. So at some point, he turns into this grumpy old bloke, doesn't he? And famously, when they did the documentary about him, something Mr. Baker, the terrible Mr. I can't remember what it was. The famous scene was when the bloke who was doing the documentary said something he didn't like, and he got his bloody walking stick, and he basically smashed the bloke in the face. I think he broke his nose, blood everywhere. Right now, when Ginger, what? Now, go and have a look at the interview that Chad Smith does with. Well, I'll put a little bit up here. That there is uncomfortable, isn't it? Chad Smith, drum bloody legend, talking to one of his heroes, trying to be nice, and he's doing everything he possibly can to make that interview sort of work. And he's trying to run, like a surfer on the waves of bad manners, to be able to roll with the bad manners that's coming from Ginger Baker, who's doing it on purpose. And that there's nothing that Chad Smith can do, and he keeps trying. I wonder that at this point in time, what would have happened if Chad Smith, obviously the stronger and more aggressive of the two, just based upon age, we're talking about old men here, so I imagine Chad Smith was around about 70 and Ginger was around about 80, but even having said that, what would have happened if he said, Ginger, can you just sit up a little bit and talk to me like a human being? I ain't going to tolerate with this anymore. And then whatever Ginger did then, whether he tried to lash out with his walking stick, whatever he tried to do on camera, if Chad had then just gone, oh, shut your face, old man, and bash, giving him one of those. Because I had a mate, you know, a young guy, lovely bloke, who... through a drum contacts associated with myself, was able to pick up the drum tech job for Ginger Baker at one point. And all Ginger Baker said to him when he was teching for him and trying to help him, for no money, you know, because his drum tech had decided to go, he only said two things to my young friend. The first was this, fuck off! And the second was this, are you fucking spastic? Those are the only two things he said, you know, both disgusting things. And the second one, terrible. And I will bleep that word out again. God, this has got a lot of bleep bloody editing to be done after the fact. I was trying to do videos which, you know, where I didn't have to work so hard. Anyway, and then a fan called him out. You know, some fan had said, is there any chance that, you know, Ginger can sign this? I've been waiting here for 6 hours. Any chance? He put that message through. Because the guy kept asking, eventually he gets through. So Ginger goes, oh, I'll go and speak to the fan. He walks all the way out to see the fan, walks right up to him and just screams after the bloke's asked, can you sign this thing? And just goes up to him and goes, no! The bloke should have lamped him at that point. This is why he's so high up. And then maybe nice English gentleman Ginger would have reappeared. If he'd have realised he can't go around talking like this to people and acting this way. If somebody had just, you know, I know I don't condone violence, but is that the case? I mean, this is the philosophical question of this video, is it? Is it that's the question? Right, let's move on to him. Number 3, Carl Palmer.
This is the Hilton, is it? Hilton. Conrad, if you're looking in, look, one soft one, one hard one. What the use is that? That's mad.
Carl Palmer's a great drummer. You know, great progressive rock legend. He's friends with, I say friends, he's the brother of a friend of mine, Steve Palmer, who is an incredible drummer. And Steve has a lot of the attributes that Carl doesn't have as a drummer, i.e. he can play in time and he's got a sense of feel. Now, I have been offered the chance to interview Carl on here through Steve, and I've considered it. But I have to be honest, I have met Carl before. When I played at the Lorelei Prog Festival in IQ, we were second on the bill, and above us was Aisha. Me being quite a chopsy and technical drummer, someone had obviously gone to Carl Palmer and said, go and check this drummer out in the band. So he went down and just grimaced at me, shaking his head as though I was an absolute idiot on the drums. But I didn't let that perturb me. No. What I did was go up to him afterwards and talk to him. And he was just bad-mannered. Wouldn't look at me, didn't want to talk to me, you know, just a grumpy man, you know. Fair enough, he's a grumpy man. But me being me, I'd kept the fact from him that I was good friends with his brother, Steve Palmer. Now, I've never told Steve Palmer this story. Steve might well get alerted, you know, because of mine, you know, I am airing dirty laundry, I suppose, here. You know, I'm pulling in the receipts. Nothing I'm saying is not true. Right? But the fact was, as I've never seen a man, when I said, oh yeah, anyway, Carl, I just want to say hello to your brother Steve, because I'm really good friends with him. And once he knew I knew Steve, I saw Carl have to, it was like a bloke who'd gone rushing in anger down a road in his car, realised that it was a dead end, and then had to bloody admit to the fact he's going to have to reverse his way out, and it's a hard way to do, because he couldn't just flip like that and suddenly become nice. No, he did this strange, slow walk towards niceness. You know, which was like, whatever, I don't know. Oh yeah, anyway, yeah, whatever you think. Yeah, no, oh, you know Steve, do you? Yeah, well, the thing is, yeah, Steve, yeah, you say you know Steve, do you? Yeah, oh yeah, you actually do know. So, where do you know Steve from? Oh, from there. Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, good. Well, I will say hello to him. And it is lovely to meet you, Andy. Thank you know, and all this type of stuff. And I got to be honest, when I was there was a tentative idea I could. You know, and he's the only guy left out of VLP. Maybe, and I put this out there to Steve and Carl if they're watching this, maybe there is method behind Carl's grumpiness. Because watching him online, he seems a very friendly and easygoing fellow sometimes. But there is a reputation there for grumpiness. I would be interested in doing the interview if we could talk about it. Right? because I have been honestly truthful in what I've said. Now, maybe it's a bit traitorous to come out and do this, you know, with the audience I have. But then I think I don't know these people. If I had an actual close friend who I didn't agree with, or had opinions I didn't agree with, or something like that, you know, I still wouldn't go behind their back talking about them and calling them an arsehole, for example. I would have still some allegiance to that friendship that I would value. Put in the friendship and the bond between us as being more important than shallow opinions about whatever. Right, so I wouldn't really do that, but I don't know Carl. I do know Steve, and as I've said, Steve's an amazing drummer and a lovely man, incredible man. And I wonder whether Carl must be lovely like Steve. And maybe just the crap that band has had to put up with over the years has put Carl into a place where his true... See, I've gone into serious mode now. This is me analysing it from a serious mode. Keith Stead killed himself because he couldn't play anymore. Greg Lake's dead, ate himself to death. He did it. That was again dark humour from Andy. Carl's the only one left. That band has not got its just rewards, whatever. Honestly, ELP is one of the greatest bands in the history of rock and roll. They should be there, being championed. I was speaking the other day to a serious classical composer, and I said this, ELP's bloody, the arrangement and compositions on their albums is unbelievable. And he goes, yeah, it is, absolutely. But he says, never malign them. It's true. Right, so here I am now. If Steve is watching this, or Carl's watching this, I have a funny process on my videos. I am improvising on the spot when I do them. And coming to this, there is something really interesting in here, is that when you have a virtuoso level technically on the drums, which surpasses anybody of that era, you're a greater technician than a John Bonham or Ian Pace, which Carl Palmer most definitely is. And you're able to now negotiate your way through the sort of arrangements and compositions that ELP made. Right, and when you do that, sell millions of albums, but the establishment never gives you that credit for what you've done, and the drum world doesn't give you that credit for what you've done on the drums. Right, the drum beat, The Sheriff, when I heard it as a kid, that was, along with Bruford's 5% and Nothing, was very early linear drumming to me. And I remember this is now turned into my assessment of Carl Palmer. Shall I put that for another video? I am going to do on this a true, not this jokey silliness, right? You know, and I always say to myself, these guys are all very successful. They're probably millionaires. Everyone I'm criticising has an incredibly successful career. If they can't take me winding them up in this way, then they should really look at themselves. But I think I've stumbled onto something here where Carl Palmer needs a reevaluation. That is, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Then he won't know. He goes, I don't know whether to hate that bloke or like him. Well, that's how I felt when you were like that to me at Lower Life festivals when you were playing with Aisha all those years back. Think about it. It was like a younger drummer like me looking up to you. That's why I've always been like this about you, Carl. All this time. You know, feeling just like I bloody push my chops past all the bloody rock drummers because of drummers like you, mainly Billy Cobham, it has to be said, but drummers like you know. I'm still doing it now, being facetious. Right, who have I got at number 2? I have got Carl's hero, Buddy Rich.
What do you say about a Chet Atkins who plays, and you listen to him with the Boston Pops, or that kind of thing? You say,
well, what I try to do is listen to the Boston Pops and reject Chet Atkins.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
Yeah, really.
No, I think he's
really. Listen,
I think Chet Atkins is a virtuoso.
He's a virtuoso unless you've heard guys like Charlie Christians. And when you've heard Charlie Christians, then you can't relate to Atkins. You know,
buddy,
it's like that other cat.
Now you're getting into styles now.
Hold it, I'm the guest.
Why Buddy Rich? Because of them bus tapes, and they've never been covered on my channel. Right? In the 1980s, somebody recorded the bus tapes, which are tape recordings of Buddy Rich being an arsehole to his band. Right? He is such an arsehole. It is so aggressive and unwarranted, and yet it's so articulate and funny that Jerry Seinfeld loved this so much and found so much humour in this tape that he would actually take some of the phrases from the Buddy Rich bus tapes and put them into his shows. Here we have some video just to back this up.
Somebody in the back of the bus, his tour bus, one day turned on the tape recorder and recorded these absolutely florid, inspired rants of pure rage and frustration and hostility at the players. And I know almost all of it by heart, along with a lot of my friends. Frank Costanza in the coffee shop when he tells the story of his long-lost love from Korea meeting her father, and how the father didn't like him and how he said in Korean, "This guy is not my kind of guy."
The father would look at me and say, "No, inawa shiyo," which means, "This guy, this is not my kind of guy."
So, because of the bus tapes, you really feel like you're listening to them, and they're all sat there, all being quite having to take it because they need the gig. Couldn't one of them just got up and punched him in the face? I know he knows Frank Sinatra. I know he could do the bloody karate. But could there be just some bloke big enough and hard enough? And there were some right gorilla-looking blokes in that Buddy Rich band back then. Wasn't someone able to just stand up and go, "Buddy, shut your gob"? Pooh! At number one, right? At number one, now. Who's at number one, the most punchable musician? This is the absolute legend. This is an icon. It's probably the guy that invented front bandness in rock and roll. Who is it? Who have I got that has got such a punchable outlook and face at number one? It is, of course, the great Jim Morrison. I'm right, aren't I? I am right. And in the spirit of wanting to leave you with more, I am going to do, because I'm going to be doing a lot of this now, this video is what you want. It's a whole bunch of contentious, libelous, bloody, me being me, and you all love it. Everything I have said on this video is not true. I just have to say that at the end. Any story I've told about anybody is alleged. It's probably not true. I've only made these stories up for comedy purposes. What else can I say to cover myself in case somebody tries to take me out here? But yeah, I have only used these people's sort of the idea of them to elicit comedy. It's satire, it's parody, and if in the world of free speech you're allowed to do all that. So I've just say all that. Here we are at the end of the video with not Van Morrison, Jim Morrison. Van Morrison's not on the list, you notice? Van's not on the list. Right, I've moved. I like him now. I like Van. When I was a kid, I loved Jim Morrison. I remember saying to my mum and dad, because they said, "Oh, you listen to that horrible heavy metal." I said, "I don't. There's other bands I like." She goes, "What do you like?" I said, "I like Jim Morrison, The Doors." And my mum went, "Ugh." Now I'm older. I love The Doors, but Jim Morrison, ugh. I don't know. There's something about him, there's something about him that I think Hucknall has in common, Becker has in common, Liam Gallagher has in common, Malmsteen has in common, even Ginger Baker has in common with Jim Morrison. It's this idea that you are a great sort of god by acting like a teenage gobby little twat. This is the end of the video. There's more to come. I've opened doors to other videos, so if you want to see me talk more about Jim Morrison or Buddy Rich or evaluate Carl Palmer or all the promise, I'll do a serious video on Charlie Mingus for the jazz guys, and actually get into his personality versus the incredible music he made, and the fact that I'm not that keen on Mingus as a jazz artist. All of that's going to be coming up in the future. So if you enjoyed this little bit of hokum, this entertainment, this hour to while away, having a little laugh at the blown up and bloated reputations of various rock stars who are now in either very late old age or dead. If you enjoyed it, put a like on it. If you want to see some more, then subscribe. And I will be now doing some serious love-filled videos for the rest of the week. Thank you for watching. See you all. Love you all. Love you all, Steve Palmer. Love you, Carl. Love you. Some of the people I mentioned on here I don't love at all. Thank you, bye.